First of all, thank you, Felipe, Maria, and Veronique, that you contributed to that with me, and is about the streaming industry. We will first answer, like I think every group, this general questions, and then we go into the detail of the patent, which was assigned to us. Okay, with the first one was, please explain the digital transformation changed the business model of media companies from video renting companies to operators of streaming platforms using example of Netflix. Okay, can you please go to the next slide? So here you can see Netflix. And first of all, what you have to understand is Netflix had always a digital business model to some extent, which means the order and subscription process was over the internet first. And that was like their big difference to the existing video renting operators. So now over the years, they had this renting model, this was okay. And they learned at 2007 that the video on demand business is much more interesting. Also, they can change totally the pricing conditions and reduce the complexity of their business model. So also what Netflix does was before that, and we can please go to the next slide, is this is the original business scope, and then this is the business scope of Netflix today. And as you can see, before that, there was the focus on customer management and content delivery, and the content creation needs to be bought in. Nowadays, it's like this, that Netflix has a much broader range. It even to some extent is like this. It's not necessary anymore to own the physical good of a DVD or so, a warehouse to manage that stuff. And also it creates its own content, and on a level which is comparable to Hollywood production. And especially for that case, what you have to understand is in the old business model, the classic product placement for Netflix was not a topic at all, because they didn't create it to content. And with this case, there can be, in the business model evolution, can be the next phase after what they have done so far yet, because they nowadays they can control the classic product placement in movies. It could be as well in the future, in the next step, that they have this on-demand product placement, we call it. Okay. Then I would overhand to my colleague.
So if we are in this slide, we're talking about how digital transformation allows Netflix or some firm like this to offer new things to customers. So in fact, with digital transformation, for example, with AI algorithm or data gathering and management, firms are able to offer new services and new mode of experience. And if we look at the impact on the business model Canva, it's changing a lot the value proposition. And if we talk about Netflix, and if we are what we have seen in the film, that for example, at the beginning, warehouses and logistics were the main key resources in 1997, and then with digital transformation, algorithm and data have become the main ones. And thanks to that, in fact, by now, it's allowed them to move from US household to a household in almost all countries, customer segments.
So we also need to explain which aspects of the business model of Tencent and Myriad, which is based on digital product placement, are patent protected. So before understanding which ones are actually patented, we wanted to have a clear overview of what the business model is. So to do this, we use the typical business model canvas to understand or to have a good overview on the key elements of the business model. So the business model canvas usually easily shows which are the key partners, which in this case of a Myriad and Tencent, which are focusing on the placement of advertisement in existing media and also in new media, so that can resurface the possibility of expanding the revenue for example, broadcasters and TV providers. So those are the key partners that we identified. There's many brands that can also associate with Tencent and Myriad, data center supplies and other streaming platforms. We also understand that the key activities of Tencent and Myriad are developing R&D. This is what they did to develop this patented technology that they have. And of course, they have a lot of marketing and analytics activities. The key resources that they have is data insights, as my colleague already explained, the patented AI technology to identify insertion zones and the production of video data. The value proposition of Tencent Myriad is allowing broadcasters to increase the revenue for existing content. The broadcast, based on this, the broadcaster can have a more diversified audience. They can increase the reachability of certain content. So depending on which market the advertisement is being targeted, they can adjust it to make sure that they reach the relevant audience always. They can enable a recurring revenue stream. And they also explain that the cost of the agreement depends on the success of the content. They have, of course, customer relationships, long-term partnerships with the broadcasters, TV providers, and brands. They offer this through different channels, so this interface that they promote. I don't need to go to the customer segment, but the cost structure that we identified is, as I said, the revenue streams that they get is mainly derived from the intermediation services performed on behalf of these two parties. So this is a very general overview of the business model of Tencent Myriad. We did identify from their patent portfolio which elements of this business model are patent protected, which is actually the key resources and the patented technology to identify insertion zones in media for specific branding. My colleague is now going to briefly explain one of these patents that we were asked to analyze and the role that this patent has in the business model that we explained.
Yes, thank you, Felipe. Well, given that this patent refers to the actual method of detection of the insertion zones, it's crucial because it allows Myriad to protect its key resource, that technology, to identify the insertion zones. And this is essential for being able to deliver the Myriad's value proposition and to ensure the long-term partnership. So if we go back and see the business model canvas, then it's the key resources protected and the value proposition and the long-term partnerships. This patent also gives Myriad the competitive advantage. And it enhances it lowers the bargaining. Can you go back to the previous one? It also lowers the bargaining power to the next one, bargaining power of customers. And it also allows Myriad to actually go for the premium price that they're seeking.
So this is just, in a nutshell, again, a visualization of it. And therefore, I hope we could answer the questions properly. If you have now understood that the patent they came up with is about the detection of the insertion zone, which means where to place the ad, and it is for pre-recorded video material, which means if you consider the time point now, how many video material is available which has identified insertion zones for ads already. That would be a different kind of business, and you have strongly to influence with Hollywood or with the artists who make the videos. and that would be much more difficult. So therefore, this was something where we consider crucial, because this allows to really post-process the ad, make the ads. So thank you very much that you listened to us. And this was the first group, or group number 1. And we are curious about group number 2 and 3. Thank you.